the New Hampshire Motor Speedway for the running of tonight's Sylvania 200. 200 lap, 200 mile race around the Magic Mile, and looking to extend that points lead out as we currently have the most wins on the season, 7, trying to go for 8, trying to go for 5 wins in a row. Really pulling away all of a sudden over Bo Phillips for the championship lead. Bo Phillips has 5 wins on the year, but has missed 2 races this season, which is why we have over a 200-point lead on him. Honestly, he'd probably have the points lead if he ran every single race with how consistent he has been so far this season. But he has missed 2 of them, so we got to take advantage of this, capitalize on it, try to go for another win here tonight. Now, he won on the last 1-mile racetrack at Milwaukee, and I finished in 2nd. I have a way faster car here than I did at Milwaukee. I had to pull a lot of pit strategy into getting that 2nd place run that night. As far as this one, here today, I did qualify 2nd. Unfortunately, Bo Phillips is on the pole, 8 1,000ths of a second. This is probably my best track on this game, so I'm shocked I did not get the pole, to be completely honest. We'll see what race trend will bring. And be sure to hit that like button. As always, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as we get into tonight's race. Green flag in the air. And we are racing in the minute that Ted Musgrave had a chance to try to pull down to the bottom of the racetrack. He did. And despite not qualifying on the pole, makes a great move to get underneath Phillips for the lead. But not clear yet as they drag race down the backstretch into turn 3. And Musgrave makes the clean pass through 3 and 4. Well, we're off to a hot start. That's amazing that he qualified on the pole, but I was able to get a good enough launch. It wasn't necessarily the launch on the restart. It was... I actually got out of the gas a little bit right at the start-finish line trying to pull that over-under move. And honestly, it couldn't have worked out any more perfect. See, I didn't even need to qualify on the pole to lead the first few laps. That's great. Game getting pushed an hour Thursday. I think you're talking about the Red Wings game, I would assume. I mean, I don't know what you mean by how do I feel about it. Gives me more of a chance, I guess, to watch the entire thing. I mean, the main reason why they did it is just because of the city of Detroit. There's so many people, that game would, the Tigers game, I should say, would end up getting done right about the time where people are trying to go to the Red Wings game. So for traffic purposes, they made the right move there. It's still probably going to be hectic, but I mean, you're looking at 2 events that are probably going to be sold out. Pretty darn close to it for the Red Wings, at least, if it isn't. Well, it does feel like we still have the race speed in it, so that's good. Not going to lie, it was a little concerning coming into this race, just knowing that this is my best track, but unfortunately, I did not qualify on the pole, and that scared me quite a bit, just as that did right there. Big wheel hop off of turn 4. It sucks that there's that, like, invisible pothole towards the apron in 3 and 4. It's not that way in 1 and 2. I mean, it's a fast line to run, like, right there, and sometimes I hit it, sometimes I don't. I wish you could actually see where it is so I know to miss it every time. You see my skid marks, at least. It's not the first time that that's happened. Wait and It's hard not to run the fastest line on the racetrack. .095. I ran in the 28s on my qualifying lap. I had a 28.998. Phillips had a 29.991. So that's 7/1000ths of a second of a difference is why he ended up getting the pole. I'm not really worried where he finishes so much right now. We have such a big points lead. Obviously, the further back he finishes, the better for us. I just ran his pole lap at last time by. Yeah, I think the Red Wings Live is just extended as long as it is just because they were originally scheduled to go on when they were. And that's just extended because the game is postponed by an hour. There we go. Still finding a way to get some faster laps in there. 28.982. Faster than any lap I ran in practice qualifying race. Obviously a long ways to go in this one. Let me lead every lap. Don't let Bo Phillips lead. And we'll see where we can leave ourselves in the point standings following tonight. I mean, we might have a 300-point lead. Who knows? I know we're going to be struggling on these intermediate super speedway races we still got left this season. Las Vegas and Talladega, the next two races this week. That's going to be a real test. I think both of those races are going to be a test for us. Vegas should be interesting because I'm good on the flat tracks, but that's a mile and a half. So in the Cup race there, I actually led the most laps and won. So if any of the intermediate tracks, that might actually be my best. I don't consider this an intermediate track. I consider this like an overgrown short track, but Vegas is a mile and a half. Well, the problem is that pregame show is going to be going on during the Tigers game. Well, not the whole thing, I guess. Keep forgetting the game starts at 3 tomorrow, an hour earlier than it did yesterday. Yeah, I don't watch the pregame. I used to watch it all the time, and now I'm like, I don't know. I got other stuff I'd rather do. When the game's on, I'll be ready to go, but a little loose getting off the exit of turn 4 that time. Who I think is going to win on Sunday? Yeah, I don't like getting asked that question like middle of the week. It's so hard for me to narrow down who I think is going to win a race before cars hit the racetrack, just because, I mean, somebody could have a good track record there, but then if they don't, look fast in practice or qualifying, then I'm not going to take them, no matter how good they've been lately or at the track. So especially for this weekend, I don't know, like super speedways, especially now that they don't have practice at most of them outside of the Daytona 500, but at least Daytona you get the dual races to kind of look to see who's fast. Like those other super speedway races, I have a pretty good idea of who I'm gonna take, but any other racetrack, yeah, I have no clue who could win at the Roval this weekend. It's tough in the playoffs too with these road courses because a lot of the guys that are not in the playoffs are definitely not going to be going for stage points. I think William Byron's a strong candidate to try to go for the win, honestly, because he's already locked into the next round. I think Christopher Bell's got quite a few points that he could probably try the strategy of not really having to go for the stage wins or the stage points either, because he can pretty much lock himself into the next round through the first stage if he scores enough stage points. So, get it out of the way there. Then by stage 2, don't do that strategy. I think SVG is going to be a strong candidate. Honestly, this track races like a street course. Right when they debuted the Roval back in 2018, I even mentioned that this is like NASCAR's version of a street course, like well before, obviously now having a street course on the schedule. So I think it'll be a great track for him. I think that's also why AJ Allmendinger always dominated the Xfinity Series races here. He's never lost one. And now SVG is going to be there. It's hard not to take SVG for both races, honestly. I'm assuming he's in the Cup race, by the way. He might not be in the Cup race, but I think he is. I would imagine he's doing double duty. The only way he wouldn't be doing double duty is just because he's in the Xfinity Series playoffs, so maybe they want him to focus on that more. And even still, like AJ, when he was running Xfinity full-time, would still run this Cup race. I mean, AJ won it last year, in fact. How many more years NASCAR have left at the Roval? Well, I mean, I guess it depends. I feel like they're going to do a year-to-year basis kind of thing. Obviously, we know that the next-gen car strong suit is the 1.5 mile/ intermediate tracks. By far the best racing that this car puts on. I would, I'm sure a lot of fans now would like to see a second Charlotte date just for the lone fact that that's one more, banger of a race, basically, we can get out of this car on a yearly basis when it's not racing well on the road courses. But I don't think NASCAR really wants to go away from the Roval either. So I feel like if they were going to do that based off of how this car runs on the road courses, we've already seen 2 races here with this car. About to be a third. They already, have the Roval on the schedule for next year, so I would just automatically assume that that's still going to stay the Roval. I mean, they could probably change it in the offseason because it's still at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So I'm sure, like, during the offseason, if they wanted to change it back to the Oval, they could. I don't think, teams would really be throwing a fit about it or anything because it's not like it's mid-season making the change like that. But, again, considering it's already on the schedule for next year as being the Roval, I would expect it to at least stay through next year. And beyond that, yeah, I don't know. It literally is a year-to-year basis. It's a matter of, can they get the road course package dialed in that would produce better racing or not? And if not, then they'll probably go back to the intermediate. Not a fan of the Roval. I mean, I understand why they made the change when they did. The weird thing that I've always found, I get fans at that time were wanting more road courses, and at that time we only had 2 of them. So I always found it weird that they basically changed the next to Charlotte date into a road course. A lot of people at that time didn't really care for Charlotte Motor Speedway either. Which they kind of had I think they had a repave in wasn't it the early 2010s, I think? But the track wasn't aging much. And people say that the Gen 6 car didn't race well at intermediate tracks. I beg to differ. I actually think the Gen 6 car raced all right on the intermediate tracks. I don't think it was as bad as people were saying it was. It was obviously not as bad as the 550 package. So I don't know what the problem was really. I mean, we had some great races with it. This car in the intermediate is clearly better, by the way. I'm not I'm not disputing that at all. But we had some great classic races with the Gen 6 car on intermediate tracks. I think people tend to forget that. Back when we had speed in the car. John Fleming, thanks for tuning in also. Got a lot of people tuning in right now. Appreciate everybody watching me kick the rest of the field's ass tonight. I mean, this is my best track on this game. Here and Richmond are my two best tracks. So if you tuned in during last night's stream and tuned in during tonight's stream, you'd probably think I'm on rookie mode. That is not the case. We just so happen to have my two best tracks lined up between the Cup race yesterday and the truck race today. Things will get tough again tomorrow night when we go to Las Vegas. I've struggled on the 1.5 mile tracks in the truck series. Haven't won one yet. Talladega after that. My super speedway runs not great on the EA games, so we'll have some struggle, just not tonight. Last year's Roval made me fall asleep. Yeah, it wasn't great. I don't think it's the track's problem, though. I think it's the car's problem. I mean, this track's put on good racing. You know, with that Gen 6 car. Which I think, honestly, is the best generation car we've had for road courses. Car tomorrow put on some decent ones, too, but I think the Gen 6, honestly, was the best road course racing we've seen in NASCAR. Better than watching my boring Phillies team. Hey, man, the Phillies aren't boring. Tigers haven't been in the playoffs in 10 years, but I've loved watching the Phillies in the playoffs the last couple years, man. That crowd gets hyped. Unlike any other baseball crowd I think I've ever seen. It's like power slide through 1 and 2. Yeah, what I noticed that the Kraken were playing at home right now. What's with them playing an afternoon game? Middle of the week. It seemed kind of odd. I was trying to figure that out. I had no idea there was an NHL game going on during the afternoon. It's like early there. Can't hit with all their talent. Maybe it's just today. Is it just a today thing? Because they were bombing home runs the other night when I was watching the highlight reel. You'll have that. Playoff baseball, I mean, each team's throwing their best pitchers in pretty much every game. I mean, you're going to go from a 5-man rotation to a 3-man rotation, and then you're going to use a lot of extra bullpen arms, but you're going to basically be recycling your best bullpen arms on a consistent basis, so. It's a common theme. You don't see many high-scoring games in playoff baseball. I don't know why it's on ESPN. Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't tell you why It's not like, Seattle's in the playoffs for baseball and they had to adjust the start time like they did with the Wings game tomorrow. So I don't know why they're playing a middle afternoon game. I feel like they had to hurt their attendance quite a bit. Well, that's not good that the bullpen's been getting rocked. Ooh. All right, so two-stop race today. Just hit the halfway mark on fuel right at lap 40. So only going to be able to go 80 laps on a full tank. Probably pit just before that, honestly, just to be safe. Honestly, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to split this race into thirds because we have the fastest truck in the field. We're going to take an even length on tires, so we're just going to pit every 67 laps. I don't think I'll have to worry about going a lap down. Just about to get our first lap truck here. 28.930, fastest lap of the race again. I don't know what I would do if the Tigers won the World Series, but I would be ecstatic. I was ecstatic last night. I don't know what more than that would be. So also, with the Utah, when I saw Utah HC, I was like, who is this? I literally had to say that to myself because I knew there was a team in Utah, but I automatically assumed that they were keeping the Coyotes name. I didn't realize that they didn't keep the Coyote name. I was like, oh yeah, that's right, it's that team. It's the Coyotes. I hadn't seen the logo up to that point. I actually kind of forgot that they were in Utah. There's not too many Coyotes in Utah, I guess. I've never been to Utah, so I guess I wouldn't know that. You have a new sports franchise like in your city and they want the fans, locally to get all in on it. I can't see like, oh yeah, I can't wait to go to a hockey club game. Like it just like what? Doesn't even sound right. So basic. Want to go to the hockey club game tonight? I ain't watching that. Well, that would only make sense if I bought the team. Which honestly, for that name, I could probably afford it. Can't be that much, right? Oh yeah, I definitely plan on going to races next year for sure. For sure. Couldn't tell you which ones yet. Other than Michigan is a guarantee, as it is every year, but yeah, I don't know yet. I usually decide during the off season, when I'm thinking about what races I'm going to. So I definitely, don't know as of right now. buy the gear for a year and then they come over the team. Yeah, exactly. Like, why would you even want to buy merch? It's going to be outdated by next year because they're going to have a completely different logo, a different team name. Yeah, they really screwed themselves over with that. When did they announce that they were moving to Utah? When was the official announcement? Was it sometime during the middle of last season? Like, you would think, like, even if it was the middle of last year, okay, you got 7 to 9 months to think of a team name, like, how, in a logo, like, it can't be that hard. Like, I've never worked in a marketing department for anything anywhere, but I don't know, that seems odd to me. Oh, boy. Saw that 151 truck a little bit wide. Scraped the wall. Craig Kinzer to check up to keep from running into the back of him. Well wide to the outside, though. We're lapping trucks with these. We'll take our first field pass of the race today, and we'll drop back to Todd Bodine, who is already a lap down in 35th. We knew Todd Bodine was having a pretty poor season compared to us, especially. We're leading in points, and he's like struggling to finish top 15 of points here. Let's go to the Roval. I'm definitely not going to the Roval next year. I'd maybe like to go back to the 600 again, though. But, yeah, I ain't going back to the Roval. Went there once. I'm good. Not with this car, this package, either. Kind of like I mentioned about the Utah Hockey Club, you'd have to pay me to go back to the Roval's not that bad. Honestly, when I was there, the Roval, the race itself was fun. I was there the year Chase Elliott nose dove into the turn one wall and then came back and won the race still. It's actually pretty cool, but my seats were like right there too, like right in front of that wall. Couldn't believe it. I don't know if I hit that pothole with Bodine. It just didn't throw the truck as drastically as it did with Musgrave, but way up on the outside. I'm just trying to steer clear of everybody. Yeah, I'd like to go back to Dover again. I don't think I had the good experience at Dover, but the race itself that I went to was like it was honestly probably the most lackluster NASCAR race I think I've ever been to. I'm being completely honest. But everything around it, you know, with where I stayed and the facility itself is all really nice. I'd definitely like to give Dover another shot again. I don't know if I do it next year or not, but sometime in the recent years, there'd be a track I'd like to go back yet again. Experience is awesome. Yeah, it really is. I mean, that's one thing, too, I mean, with NASCAR, like, the experience, no matter what track you go to, is still going to be good. And you just never know. I mean, you can go to a track that doesn't put on a lot of great races, you know, historically speaking. You can go there and see, like, one of the best races at that track at, you know, randomness on some random Sunday. Like, you just never know. That's what I love about the unpredictability of sports. Like, even when you think you have it down to a T, something crazy could still end up happening. Like when I went to Pocono and I saw Kyle Larson blow a tire in the final corner while leading out of nowhere. I couldn't believe that. I was walking out of the grandstands and I still couldn't It took me like a good 10, 15 minutes after the fact to be like, wait, Alex Bowman won this race. I was just automatically in my brain. I couldn't get out of my head that Larson didn't win. It just seemed odd. Oh yeah, dig is always going to be fun. See a lot of cool people. Oh yeah, for sure. I've had experiences like that. There's the first time I went to Atlanta, old Atlanta, I went there with a buddy of mine. He had never watched a NASCAR race at that point, and he was a big pro wrestling guy. You know, and I'm a big pro wrestling guy. Monday Night Raw was in Atlanta that next night after the NASCAR race. So I was like, hey, you know, I'll take you to your first NASCAR race, and then we can go watch Monday Night Raw downtown the next night. All right, so we made it a, 2-day weekend. We went to the Cup race on Sunday, drove down Saturday morning, 10-hour commute. Saw my first race at Atlanta, but the people there anyway were, I mean, yeah, they were nice. I mean, we had like a group of like, I mean, it was just me and him that went, but there was like maybe 4 to 6 of us in that like particular area. We were just all talking to each other throughout the course of the race. They were pretty cool. Nashville was kind of like that too. Just, randomness, people asking you where you're from, especially when you go down south when you're me and I don't have a southern accent, They probably hear me talking to my buddy and they're like, they're not from around here. I wonder where they're from. And then they like ask. So, yeah, that's happened a couple times. There, Nashville in particular are the 2 races. The first year that Cup Series went to Nashville Super Speedway, 2021 was when I was there. Makes it interesting too. Meet new people. Met a few of you guys in person at tracks too. I haven't met anybody that knew me in the grandstands yet, but just like randomly out on the concourse, I've gotten ran into a few times. That's always pretty cool. Still blows my mind to this moment that something like that happens. I don't expect it. The channel's not very big, so it mind boggles me that I could run into somebody that watches or whatever. Yeah, I saw Wade. Saw Inside Uranus at Fontana a couple years ago. I don't think I've ever seen this guy in the chat, but I saw somebody else. Saw Wes that I coincidentally work with. That's the I don't think I'll ever have a story like that ever again. Or he just like came up to me one day. He's like, "Hey, do you do like the NASCAR stuff?" On I'm like, yeah. It's like, dude, no way. I actually watch your stuff, man. I'm like, I would have never guessed in a million years that somebody I worked with watched my content. Not out of telling them that I have a YouTube channel. Like, I'd never talked to him before. Like, I'd seen him there, but I never, like, I didn't know he watched NASCAR or anything, and that was pretty cool. That one really blew my mind. A truck blowing a motor down to the bottom of the track. Hill version of Taylor Swift. What does that even mean? Travis Kelce, you mean? We both got the red beard. I think he's got a red beard. I'm colorblind, so maybe he doesn't have a red beard. You have to let me know. The less attractive Travis Kelce. the Dollar General Travis Kelce. When to pit? Well, I said I was going to split it in thirds, but now I've still stayed out on the track. I mean, the tires feel fine. I feel like they haven't degraded whatsoever. Still running decent laps, but the truck still handling about as well as it once did. About 8.5-second lead right now. Managing the gap. Continuously passing trucks. Yeah, I'll probably just, at this point, stay out to about lap 80 or so and make my pit stop then, because I know I can go 80 laps on a full tank. Haven't seen anybody else pit yet. Wow, 28.8. That last lap, 28.896. That was like a 10th quicker than I ran in qualifying. Pluralize my name, I guess. That's my fan base. What would my fan base be like? What would you guys call yourselves as fans of me? That could go so many. I'm almost afraid if I get any answers out of that question. Actually, now that I think about it. But like as a nickname, I don't even know what that would be. I think we have to figure this out collectively. We need to figure this out, and then when I start to sell merch down the line, we got to implement that somehow, some way. It's got to be something that just sticks. See, I think the problem is, like, I'm not great with coming up with nicknames for one. Well, I kind of am, just secretly. That more of like a joking thing. Not something that I would actually call somebody by the nickname that I would think of calling them, but more of a hilarious behind the back kind of thing, but I wouldn't do that to you guys. Another fastest lap. Think of some, but somebody take the. Yeah, that's it's kind of the same thing I was thinking. I don't know what you're thinking, but we're thinking alike, I think. A lot of thinking in there. I'm still kind of stuffed up for allergies. Like, comes and goes. Sucked through the weekend, and then it kind of went away yesterday, and then today it hit me real hard again. Gonna run one more lap. We'll pit at lap 80 as, I guess, originally scheduled. And nobody else has made a pit stop. .861. Fastest lap right before this upcoming 4-tire stop. And Ted Musgrave is on to pit road. Pretty solid pit road entry there. No adjustments, 4 tires and fuel. I mean, we had a 10-plus second lead there at the time of the pit stop, so I don't think we need an adjustment. I think we're okay. I mean, the truck's a little on the loose side in the long run, but it ain't terrible. A lot of tire wear at New Hampshire, not in this game at least. Not in the truck series, not tonight. All right, well, 17th, we are on the lead lap. Bobby Hamilton Sr. will take over the lead. At least it's not Bo Phillips. So we're the first truck to pit road. You know, I'm actually kind of starting to wonder if they can make it a one stop and I have to pit twice. Because, I mean, there's been 0 trucks on the pit road yet. I don't know that I could have went another lap. We hit halfway out of gas right at lap 40, so I pitted at 80. I didn't want to take it a lap further because I didn't think we'd make it another lap. Trying to attack on these 4 fresh tires. Already have the fastest truck in the field. Give me the fresher tires on top of it. Trying to make something up here. That would stink if we have to pit twice and they only have to pit once. It'd be an inverse of how the Phoenix race went for the Cup Series season, where we had to pit one less time than everybody else. It stinks with this being a truck race, though. Well, you know what? Now that I think about it, we had to do that in Kansas. The only thing with Kansas is that I wasn't the only one that had to pit twice. There were several other trucks that had to pit twice, and I think, what was it, like the top 7 made it on one stop? Where most of the field had to pit 2. This race, I might be the only one that's going to have to pit twice. The way it's looking. Bristol too? It might have been Bristol also. Maybe in the I think it was the Busch Series race at Bristol, now that I think about it. I think the Cup race we were fine, but the Busch race was... I think that one we had to pit an extra time. Even when I'm at my favorite... Well, maybe not my favorite track, but my best track on this game. Something just has to be that much harder. You know, you can never have it too easy. I think I can still win this thing. It's going to be a hell of a lot closer, but it's winnable. 17.5 seconds to try to make up. These 80 lap fresher tires already gained about 3 seconds on them in about these first 7 laps. I think the thing that would hurt us the worst right here... Whoa, boy. He sent him? Saw Marvin Sheth go wide in the corner. I don't know if he got hit from behind going in there or not. Well... Yeah, if we had a caution before 80 laps to go in this race, where they could make it on fuel, but I couldn't, that would hurt. That would hurt my chances in winning this thing, because then you're telling me I have to pit on the final run and they don't. So we really need this to stay green through the green flag pit stops for everybody else. We can't have a caution until we get inside our fuel window. Or that, if that happens, we might finish a lap down in this race, honestly. And it's weird, too, because it's like, okay, I can still pit and be close to the end on fuel. But then, knowing I still have to pit, I'm not going to be able to make that time all the way back up. I mean, you just saw right there after 80 laps, I was 17 and a half seconds off the lead when I first cycled off of pit road. So this is definitely interesting. We're making up that time right now, but then they're going to have fresher tires than me by about 20 laps or so. We haven't had a lot of fall off, but obviously this is making a big difference. I mean, 80 laps is 80 laps. Doesn't matter where you're at. It makes a difference. 20 ain't going to make as much of a difference as the 80 I have right now. I just got to hope I don't, start giving that time back up again, because then we're really going to have to figure out when we're going to want to make that second stop. Who's at 3 goals in 2 minutes? There you go. That's your team. Congrats. Try to get the season started undefeated. Always good to win that first game. Even on the video games growing up, it always looked cool seeing that you were undefeated through like the first game. It's like, oh, I wonder how long this is going to last. Almost halfway. We're getting there. Crazy thing is, I'm like 10 seconds plus off the lead, but I'm in 6th. Bobby Hamilton's building up quite a gap over everybody else in front of us for position yet, too. He might easily have the second best truck in the field today. I haven't caught Bo Phillips yet, so he's definitely in the top 5. Unless he was the first driver that blew a motor. Played any of the classic NHL games? It depends on what you interpret by classic. Like, what's your definition of classic? I think the first NHL game I had, whatever one Jonathan Toews was on the cover of, I think that was the first game I played. I think the NHL games was like the last of the sports games I got into. I think NHL 10, if that sounds right. Jonathan Toews for Chicago is on the cover. It was either him or Patrick Kane, because they were on covers like back-to-back years. I think it was the Toews one. Whatever the earliest one was of those two, because I had them both. Oh, no, I definitely didn't have 2K. Yeah, I never played the 2K games. For Chell, at least. No, I definitely want to get one for the PS2, though, through the winter. When it really gets into hockey season. I still got to get an old MLB The Show game, too. I keep wanting to get the original one, because I had that. That was the one I played the most growing up. I want to get the original MLB The Show at some point. And honestly, watching the Tigers play in the playoffs over the last week or so, it's really giving me the urge to go out and buy it. But I know, like, during the winter... Oh, I'm sorry, Todd. I just ran my teammate up the track. What I was going to say was that I know that when I go to buy it, like, I'll probably, like, binge play the first month or two, and then once I get in the middle of the winter and it's not baseball season anymore, I'll probably... So I might just wait till next season to get it. I don't know. We'll see. Halfway home, we are back in the lead. I mean, at least I could clinch the most laps led before I go to make my next pit stop. Most of the lead lap trucks have hit pit road. And they're pretty much all splitting this race in about half. So it's definitely a one-stop race for everybody but our driver, Ted Musgrave. It's a two-stop race for Musgrave here tonight. Both on NHL 16. Both those guys were... Well, there was one in particular that they were on the cover individually, like back-to-back years. And I think it was 10. It might have been 9 and 10 or 10 and 11. I remember having both of them. At that time, I had a PS3, though. But I feel like I had the PS2 copy of the game. But I know I didn't play it on a PS2 at that time. Oh, we got a truck up against the wall. Middle of turns 3 and 4, no caution. Thank goodness. Caution would kill me right now. I'm not inside my window. We need this to stay green. Tay's on 11. So then it was Kane on 10 then, right? Oh, jeez. That was way worse than the first time. I hit it in the first, like, 10 laps of the race. I hadn't hit it up until then. Thank goodness there's, like, nobody alongside of me both times I hit it. An invisible pothole. Turn 4. Only played 07, 08, 9 through 15. Like I say, only, and then, like, list more than a half a dozen on there. More than that many that I had. The only game I ever got, like, on a year-over-year basis growing up were the NASCAR games. And even, well, not even then, really. Because I hadn't played, like, 08, well, so a year-over-year basis through 07, and then, like, I never really got another NASCAR game until Heat Evolution came out. So I never played any of the Technics games or anything. As far as... I'm trying to think. Honestly, Madden was like the only game I ever played on a year-over-year basis and got the new one the next year. Because even with like MLB The Show and the NHL games, like I would get like... I'll get one, and then I would basically just play that like during baseball season or whatever season of the year it was. Play it over again. Play it over again the next year. The next year, and then like after like 3 or 4 years went by, then I would get another one. Play that a few more years, and then I wasn't recycling them every single year. Madden was the only one I did that with. Games were always expensive too, so my parents didn't really care for going out and buying a new one of like every one when I was growing up, so I probably factored in a lot to it too, but I didn't have any problem with it. Yeah, I remember Blockbuster. I'd always get the games from, there's still that local game shop that has just a ton of, like, that's where I get all my PS2 games from. I go to this shop, it's just got, like, I mean, they have, like, any, like, classic game, any console that you can think of. They pretty much have it. If you go to look for it, they'll probably have some sort of a copy of it, whether it's refurbished, pre-owned, whatever. Well, maybe it's new and it hasn't been opened yet, but they've got it. Family Video, yeah. I never really... I remember we went to Family Video more often if we were to rent a movie. I'd always rent them from the local library, too. It was always cheaper that way because I would have a library card, and as long as I returned it on time, I never got charged anything. Here's Bobby Hamilton, who was in second place. And I think he would still be in second. So Musgrave trying to put a lap on the field right now. That would be the only thing to try to counteract if we were to get a caution before a fuel window opened up. That it would trap a lot of trucks a lap down and pretty much lock us into at least a top 2 finish. So Hamilton goes a lap down on lap 113. Musgrave has lapped the field. We only had about an 8.5 second lead when we pit at lap 80, but we made up so much time on those 80 lap pressure tires in just that 20 to 25 lap time frame before everybody had hit pit road. That's why we have a lap lead on the field. But again, we have to pit one more time. Nobody else has to pit the rest of this race. We clearly have the fastest truck in the field. The question is, can we make up all of that time to try to get back into this thing? Honestly, I think the question's yes. If we stay green, I think the answer to that question is yes. I remember Gamefly. I never used that. I can remember that being advertised on like Nickelodeon and stuff growing up. Man, 28.828 that last lap. We might get down into the 28.7s. That's like extremely low. Ran the same identical lap time to the 1,000th of a second 2 laps in a row. I feel like I do that a lot. I mean, I guess when you're consistently hitting your marks to get the most out of the vehicle you can. Probably quite often. Especially when you do a full race. There it is, 28.761. That was a medium 7.6 too. $28,728. I'm really going for this. Give me a 28.6. There it is, 28.695. I got it. Tires haven't worn out enough. I can grip a lot more of the apron. I dropped a little bit there. Well, we're right on the edge of our pit window, but we could probably make it from here to the finish. Still going to run this out. We haven't had to deal with a ton of lap traffic. There were a couple moments in that very first run where I got into some heavy lap traffic, but We're just so much faster than everybody else. It doesn't seem like it's holding me up a ton. Rented games. Wasn't it via mail, though? Like, they would mail you copies of the games to rent? It's kind of crazy that that was around, like, during internet time. I think you just download it. That business, I don't think they really ever thought that that business would kind of go in and out in less than 10 years. It's still around. There's no way. I'd be shocked if it was still around. If it is, there's no way they send you, like, physical copies. I just feel like with the internet now, it'd be so much easier just to download everything. It's got to be for retro stuff. Like that would be the only other way I could think about it. You know, for an instance, like me having this PS2. Because I'm not obviously going to be able to download anything onto there. Game-wise. So it'd be our third caution-free truck race on the season if this were to go caution-free. Been around since 2002. I didn't realize it was around that long. It really doesn't feel like it was that long ago. It doesn't feel like I was a kid 15 to 20 plus years ago. It just doesn't feel right. Some parts of me, it feels like it was just 10 years ago. When I was like 8 years old. Racing quarter midgets. It's crazy how much time has gone by. Yeah, 20 years ago I was in preschool. I mean, as a kid. I think just for those sole case of, in case we get a caution that would trap a lot of trucks a lap down, being a lap ahead of the field, I'm going to wait to make my pit stop until I get close to the end of this fuel run. I don't think I want to short pit this. Because if I short pit it and then we end up getting a caution, even if I'm back in the lead again, my distance between first and second is gone. I mean, I guess second place would get the free pass, but the distance to everybody else behind second would be gone. "20 years ago, I graduated." Oh, jeez. It's hard to believe for me. It's going to be, what, this coming year would be, I got to do my math here. 7 years for me already. It's wild. Wild times. Actually, no, it'll be 8 years this year. Did my math wrong. Yeah, it'll be 8 years this because we're technically in the school year now. So this coming fall, it'll be 8 years. Dang. Welcome to tonight's episode of NASCAR 07, where we are making Keegan feel old. Yeah, we certainly did not meet through kindergarten. We're not even the same age. We're close. I feel like I've lapped Todd Bodine like 2 or 3 times today. Well, granted, I probably passed him once when I was just coming off a pit road, too. He's probably only 2 laps down. I like how he was 35th on his own when I first caught him. And then I drove him up to 27th. He's probably back outside the top 30 again. I just don't understand how I can get that much more out of the truck than he can. Right front's wearing out. I don't remember that from the first run earlier. Interesting. seen a lot of trucks get tight off the exit of the corners and hit the wall today. I don't remember that any other time we've been to New Hampshire, to be completely honest. Well, we're getting close to our second and final stop of the race. Everybody else is good to go and fuel to the end. I am not. I've got a one-lap lead on the field. I'll definitely be giving that up. I think we might have enough of an advantage that I could stay in the lead. I just ran a 28.637 that last lap. Anybody else just see that? In my sleep. I'm in such a rhythm right now. Even when I'm talking, I'm just running my fastest laps. Mid-conversation. Oh my gosh, I ran a 28.5. What? Guys, they had a 28.9 in qualifying. What? How have I picked up like 4/10 over the course of the race? I haven't made any adjustments. I had a 28.5 again. I saw your message that a couple times already. We definitely didn't. I don't think it feels like it's been 20 years since we first met each other. That's a quick 20 years. I don't want time to go that fast. Kenzer bounced it off the wall. 28.556. Just trying to catch a little draft down the back straightaway. I'm doing everything I can right now to 28.521. Oh my gosh, dude. This is how you make fun of dominating the field in a race. Just like try to find ways to set your fastest lap imaginable. We're kind of doing this at the end of the race last night at Richmond with the Cup Series. Doing it here with about 50 laps to go in this truck race at New Hampshire. $28.4. I'm trying to use some more draft down these long straightaways that I wasn't using before, and I think that's why I'm setting as fast of a lap. I'm a half a second quicker than I was in qualifying. That is ludicrous. I don't know if I've got anything else. It might be all I've got for lap time. There's no chance I'm beating a 28.4. I don't know. We got to pit one more time. Maybe we get fresh tires back on this bad boy. Maybe we do have something. I got a little too loose there. I don't think that's going to be a great lap. Well, great grand scheme of things, how I keep finding speed in this racetrack. Barrel it off through 1 and 2. Nobody to draft off of anymore. Back to the 28.6. We had a good run. A 28.485. Fastest lap of the race. And a truck at New Hampshire. Couple more laps away from the second and final stop for Ted Musgrave here tonight. Make sure we don't speed. We'll see where we'll cycle out of the pits. And if we aren't in the lead, we'll see if we can try to make it back up again. We're going to pit this time. No, my pace was faster than the first stint, so I don't know if I'm going to go 80 laps again. So we'll pit this time after 77 of them. No adjustments. 4 tires, full tank of gas. Second and final stop of the race here for Ted Musgrave. No, my sister's the only sibling I have. Clean stop. All right. Still in the lead. I'll have to see how big the lead is. Oh, wow. 16.5-second lead, even pitting in extra time. Holy cow. That ain't right. And now we have fresher tires. I guess when you're running 28 fours. Nope, just the one sibling. $40 to go. I just ran a 28. Hang on, let me focus in real quick. I just timed my best lap of the race that last time. Sister's 22. I'm 25, she's 22. She's 3 years younger than I am. want mine and I'll have yours. It's all right. I don't think we need to do that to each other. Well, I beat it by 1,000th of a second, 28.484. I don't know, we're going to have a bigger spike than that for our fastest lap. Twenty-eight, 452. Picked up about 300s. Oh, Bobby Hamilton's not second anymore. I don't think I've lapped Bo Phillips yet in the race. He is probably on the lead lap still. 30 laps left this time by. Trying to get as close to the grass as I can without touching it middle of the corner. Trying to see how much more speed's down there. Oh, another truck blowing up. 28.424. Ah. A little too deep there. Oh, well, that ain't gonna do it. A little bit of contact up off turn 4. Hit the wall, but I still came up too high. Mike G, thanks for tuning in. Goes by very quick. I take it you were listening to the conversation we were having earlier. Time does fly. Make you feel old every day? How's that? When I make bad pick calls and I stress you out too much? I haven't made a bad pick call in a while. We probably do. We got a couple tough races coming up the next 2 nights. Vegas and Daytona, so we'll see. I knew I had to take advantage of the short track portion of the schedule. I mean, we really couldn't have done any better. 5 races, 5 max points days between them. We swept last week, winning all 4 races. We're going to start this week with a win here at New Hampshire. Way too loose there. Dropped way off that lap. It's like 3 trucks out of the race to this point. $20 laps remain. Well, we're getting close to locking up the most wins on the season with 8, and we only have 7 races left after this. 3 more wins than Bo Phillips. It's going to be tough for him to get back to us. It ain't impossible. I mean, if he puts on a stretch of races like he did earlier in the season. Won 5 of his first 10 that he competed in, so he might very well still have a chance of getting there, especially with a lot of intermediate tracks left, and that's where he's winning. I'm winning the short tracks, he's winning the intermediate tracks. We just didn't have any, you know, we had a few short tracks early in the year, but then we didn't have any for a while, then we had a bunch of them in a row, and that's where we've, you know, capitalizing again, looking to get 5 wins in a row tonight. Based off of that. But when we go to Las Vegas tomorrow, it's going to be a different animal. Slightly later start time tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll be starting that race right around where we're at right now, time-wise. And I got a little loose there. I got a little scared I was going to potentially hit that inside wall. I think Ron Hornaday in this 33 truck up here is in second place, so trying to lap the field as we're very close to the finish. Huge line of lap traffic coming up, too. It's twice now I've got really loose off turn 4 randomly. Oh, we got trouble. No caution there. I just saw those two trucks go straight into the wall. Aaron Crocker and someone else. Thought we were going to get our first caution of the day. We did not. It's getting dicey here, and I want to get through this stuff before something stupid happens. 14 laps to go. Looking to lap the field. Ron Hornaday right in front of us. Using the lap trucks that were side by side as a pick to get by. And we have lapped the field here today at New Hampshire. Ten to go this time. One lap lead on the field. This race going caution-free definitely helped us. Especially with that pit strategy that we were kind of forced to have as couldn't go as long on fuel as the rest of the field. But taking the fresh tire advantages when we did, we were able to make up enough time, even pitting that extra stop, that we still made up a lap on the field. So there we go. Working these fresh tires to the finish here for about these last 43 laps or so. Continuously lapping trucks. One more short track left on the season at Martinsville, so if we're going to get to a double-digit win total, we're going to have to win on a mile and a half at some point. Well, no, I guess we got Phoenix yet, too. 1 mile track. I might not have to win a mile and a half for a super speedway to get to 10 wins, I guess, if I capitalize and win those two races. Five to go. Ready to go. Got to see the white flag. Yeah, I mean, we are guaranteed one green, white checkered finish if we were to get a caution before the white. Having a lap on the field, second place would get the free pass, get back on the lead lap. Well, yeah, would like to see the white. We nailed the initial start. Remember, I actually started second in this race and still led the first 79 laps up until our pit stop at lap 80. Obviously going to go on to lead the most laps, and despite the fact that Bo Phillips qualified on the pole, he will not lead a lap today as well. And Chris Parker, who is third in points just behind him, I don't think led a lap either. I think Bobby Hamilton was the only driver that led any laps outside of us. No, Ron Hornaday led for a little bit too, I think. I remember seeing the 33 emblem up there during green flag pit stops during the halfway mark. Obviously, we'll look at the race stats here at the end of this thing. Our third caution-free truck race of the season, though. One in the Busch Series, still none in the Cup on the full races. Our 50% race at Richmond and Atlanta went caution-free, but no yellow flags here this evening. Checkered flag in the air for Musgrave. Win number 8 on the season. Looks like everybody from 6th on back finished 2 laps down. Got a feeling my TV is going to shut off randomly. Well, that's a random hunch that you would say it would turn off randomly. Alright, I pay my electric bill. We're good. Polish victory lap. Margin of victory, obviously 1 lap, 7 lead changes, no cautions. All the lead changes for the most part during green flag pit stops, outside of course, me taking the lead on the opening lap away from Bo Phillips, who did not lead at all. Our average race speed tonight, 130.25 miles per hour. Total race time, 1 hour, 37 minutes, and 28 seconds. We led 183 of 200 laps, excuse me. Ryan Hornaday led for 2 laps. Thought I saw him lead earlier. Hans Good finishes 3rd. 15 laps led for Bobby Hamilton Sr., who finishes 4th, and Bill Lester 5th. Marvin Jett in 6th. George Teague 7th. H. Jackson 8th. Spencer Claiborne 9th. W. Tucker 10th. Did he blow a motor? I think Bo Phillips blew... Yeah, he did. And Parker. Oh, my gosh. 2nd and 3rd in points. Both blew an engine today. No lap sled. Started 1st. Finished 34th. Bo Phillips blew an engine at lap 138. Chris Parker, who was 2nd in points, blew a motor at lap 69. George Tinkin blew an engine early in the race. T. Golson blew an engine. We had 4 engine failures. But yeah, 2nd and 3rd in points. Both blew a motor. As if this championship race couldn't get any easier. It might be the first DNF of the year for Phillips. He had two DNSs. First DNF, I think, for Phillips here tonight. Oh, I didn't mute. I'm probably getting copyrighted for this. It's crazy that I have it on for 5 seconds. That's all it takes. Las Vegas 350 tomorrow night on the channel. Under the lights, flat, Old Vegas, 146 laps. I mean, we're about to clinch this champ. We might clinch this championship this week. Honestly. At the rate we're going at right now, we probably got over a 400-point lead now. Yeah, 405. Oh my gosh. Phillips 3 points ahead. Chris Parker actually falls down to 4th. He was 3rd. Bill Lester's now 3rd. Bobby Hamilton Sr.'s 5th. Unbelievable. 1 DNF and 2 did not starts for Bo Phillips this season. And you just want, I mean, this is the championship that could have gotten away from him. Like, I have 8 wins, but he'd still be right there with me if he didn't. Honestly, if he just didn't miss the 2 races, I'd probably have about a 100-point lead or so. That's crazy. And then the engine failure tonight obviously did him in also. Us not DNFing this season is huge. I've had a couple of poor finishes, but I don't know. We'll see what we'll bring in the next one. I mean, honestly, we might clinch the championship after Martinsville, knowing that that's another winnable race for us. Got to get through these next 2. These next 2 are going to be tough. Las Vegas and Talladega. I don't think we're going to have to worry about the championship anymore. I'll talk about it as a talking point during the races these next couple nights, but I'm not worried about it whatsoever at this point. We've gotten lucky in this season. It stinks because it looked like the way the first half of the season went, it was going to be a barn burner between the 2 of us. I mean, the way he whipped out the 5 wins of the first 10 races he ran, but he missed 2 of them, and we were still neck and neck in points at that time. And well, at that time he only missed 1 race, but then once he missed the second race and we went up by like 170, then he DNFs. Yeah, that's tough. I wish that didn't happen, but I honestly think it's only because he's a fantasy driver. Like, if it wouldn't have been a fantasy driver in that same situation, they wouldn't have missed a race, let alone 2 races. Yeah, it'd definitely be a lot different circumstance, but yeah, we might clinch this championship this week. I guess that's our new goal. I mean, obviously, try to clinch it as soon as we can. Move back on into the Busch Series stuff. So, appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Be sure to hit the like button again if you haven't done so yet. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. NASCAR 7 tomorrow night, Vegas truck race, as you saw. 146 laps scheduled distance. And we will go live at 7:30. Special start time tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Gotta watch my Tigers. Game 3 ALDS tomorrow. That gives us plenty of time. I probably could have started it at 7, but I'm just gonna make sure, just in case it goes like 14 innings or something. I'll make sure it's the game's done. I gotta see it, man. It's been 10 years. I ain't missing a playoff game as much as I can, at least. I mean, I've unfortunately missed a couple because of streaming on the weekends or with the live commentary stuff or at work. And I'll be at work at the start of the game tomorrow, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm still gonna catch as much of it as I can. So until next time, see ya.